Good morning and welcome to Mind the Moment, brought to you today and always by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. These sessions, which take place every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at this time, provide an opportunity for us to practice together, for us to ask amazing mindfulness instructors about what mindfulness means to them, and most importantly, to hear from you regarding your own mindfulness journey. How's it been going? Where would you like it to go? How can we help you to get there? I'm Jon Roberts, sitting in for your usual host, Suzanne Rowe Palacino, who is enjoying some much-deserved time off. It's Thursday, February 17th, 2022, which, according to the American Association for the Advancement of Science, is National Public Sciences Day, a day in which all citizens of Earth are invited to contemplate how science contributes to their lives. Now, for those of us in the mindfulness biz, the overlap between science and mindfulness practice, which was once viewed as primarily spiritual or a philosophical pursuit, has allowed both those disciplines to become stronger, just as metal alloys gain strength from the degree to which they are composed of different elements. The turning point in this happy intersection between science and mindfulness may have come in 1992, when the Dalai Lama charged the neuroscientist Richard Davidson with the task of proving that meditation did, in fact, have a measurable effect on the human brain, research which in the intervening years has shown meditation to be as important a part of a well-rounded wellness plan as healthful eating and exercise, and which has inspired a whole generation of scientists, among them Judd Brewer and Amishi Jha, who view no conflict between the awe caused by scientific discovery and the awe caused by meditative repose. As Neil deGrasse Tyson said, quote, "Not only are we in the universe is in us. I don't know of any deeper spiritual feeling than what that brings upon me," end quote. Now, if there's someone whose teaching never fails to inspire in me, and if I may be so bold to say, a deep spiritual feeling, it is the founder of Choice Coaching and Consulting, the professional certified coach and master mindfulness instructor I know as Jackie Johnson. Good morning, Jackie. How are you today?
Good morning, Jon, and everybody. Wow, that's a lot to follow, Jon.
I like to keep people on their toes at 8:33 in the morning. Jackie, do you have a favorite scientific invention or discovery which you are celebrating today?
Oh, my goodness. You just had me flash on all the things that could fall in that category that I've taken advantage of already this morning. I don't know, Jon. I'm at a loss.
Okay. All right. Well, if anyone has their own that they'd like to share in the chat, that would be fantastic. We'd love to hear about that. For myself, as the father of a very busy 1.5-year-old child, I am grateful personally for my robot vacuum, even if it does sometimes mistake me for dirt. Jackie, now, as usual, we have a whole bunch of people joining us this morning. We'd love to invite everyone to open up the chat box. Let us know what's on your mind now or at any point during today's program. And Jackie, if I could ask you as a way to get us started in that regard, is there a question you'd like to ask the folks attending to comment on today?
Yes, thanks, Jon. I have kind of a two-part question this morning, actually. So I'm going to simplify a little bit, shift gears maybe a tad from the science. And I'm wondering what's bringing you joy. So that's the first part. And when I ask that, I'm thinking about the very simple things you tend to notice with your senses in just a moment. So that's part one. And then as you're sort of contemplating what comes up for you around that, the second part is, what's the felt sense of that joy in the body? How do you know that in the body? So I'd love to hear anything that's coming up for people around that.
It's great. Moments of joy and how it it comes out, is expressed in the physical form. Jackie, could I ask you, do you have something for yourself that you'd like to share?
Yeah. So while I wasn't prepared for the scientific question this morning, Jon, I started thinking about this yesterday and just started jotting down some things and found it interesting that I jotted a few things and then I keep thinking of more that I want to add. And I was realizing too, that it would be easy if someone asked, what smells bring you joy, what sights bring you joy, what sounds bring you joy, that each one of those conjures some things. So some things that came to me, I was also thinking about how we can borrow joy. And I've been seeing the neighbor kids playing soccer in the street lately and just seeing how delighted they look. And that's kind of a way in which we can also borrow the joy of others. But my orchids that I've had for a few years now have bloomed again, as they have the last few years. And they seem to bloom all winter, which is such a joy. So that's one for me. I see lots of stuff coming up in the chat here.
Yes, so somebody says hot beverages during and cold mornings are enlivening to them. The warmth of this strangely warm day is making somebody, the feeling the body like wanting to move and get going. Just the ability to walk and take in the world. The smell of eucalyptus. Oh, that's very nice. Tulips and their fragrance bring immediate smile to my face. This person says an energy in the heart. Bread baking, which is a nice thing because it's a multi-sensorial thing. And Jack, I guess wanted to highlight what you said about borrowing the joy from others. I love that, because when you borrow joy, it's unlike when you borrow some things, you don't take the thing away from that person. Both of you get the joy that you are borrowing. So it only creates more joy as opposed to just moving the joy around. Somebody says coffee as their thing, which I completely understand, and birdsong, which maybe is getting a little more pronounced as we march towards spring. Jackie, so is there a way you'd like to riff on this joy concept as we move towards the meditation?
Yeah. So as we're transitioning through practice, I'm noticing comments about where people say they feel it in their bodies, the nose, the head. I saw somebody reference the heart. And, there's value also in movement. I see a couple of things about movement. If I ask people to conjure up a memory of something you regret that you wish you could have a do-over on, that would probably be pretty easy for most of us, or something that's worrying you, that's occupying space. And so we tend to sort of build those muscles pretty readily, not always in a conscious, choiceful sort of way. And there are ways in which, through practice on the cushion here, as we sit and practice formally, and through our daily lives, that we can build this muscle as well. So I'll just invite people to play with that a little bit in the practice this morning, whether it's bringing to mind one of these sort of moments that evoke joy for you, or if it's just noticing where that shows up in the body. For me, I notice that when I kind of activate that joy muscle, whether it's with the orchids or the kids playing or any of the other things that came to mind, playing a favorite song, that there's sort of a sense of warmth and softening and expansiveness in my heart. And so there's a way of just tapping into that physical sensation without even necessarily having to go looking for anything. So just an invitation to see if there's a way to play with that as we shift into practice. Sound good, John?
That's great. All right, Jackie, please take it away.
Okay, so we'll practice for about 12 minutes or so, and then save some time for questions. So to start with, just check in with your body and see if it needs any kind of stretch, any kind of movement to settle in, and then finding the posture that's right for you. That could be a seated posture, could be standing if you've already been sitting a lot this morning and that feels better. And then again, if it feels right, allowing the eyes to gently close, or softening the gaze and allowing sort of a downward gaze that minimizes distractions so that you can take this time to go inward. And perhaps taking a couple of longer, deeper than normal breaths. And if you're feeling tired, you can lengthen the inhalation. And if you're feeling particularly agitated or any distress this morning, you might pay conscious attention to a lengthened exhalation. Just feeling the body supported by the earth. Really seeing if you can feel a sense of both wakefulness and simultaneously of this time to rest with whatever's here, softening into whatever's here. So shifting the awareness to noticing sounds, noticing that sounds just naturally arise and pass away without any effort on our parts. Noticing sounds outside, sounds in the room, in the background, the sound of my voice. There's no need to go looking for sound. Simply noticing what's here. And now allowing sounds to drop again into the background and shifting the awareness to the body sitting, the body supported by the earth. And let's do a brief scan. We spend so much time in our heads to really ground ourselves in this embodied way. So beginning at the top of the head, just feeling into any sensations that are here and sweeping the awareness down through the back of the head, the forehead, the area around the eyes and the eye sockets, the cheeks, the jaw, taking in all of what's here in the head and the face, and dropping awareness down into the neck and shoulder region, an area for many of us that can carry a lot of tension and tightness. And without any effort, just inviting in softening. And sweeping down through the arms, the upper arms, the lower arms, the hands, feeling the weight of the arms, any sensations of temperature, of air movement, tingling, vibration, feeling the inner part of the hands. And then sweeping the awareness down through the torso, through the abdomen, through the hip, buttocks region. If you're sitting, really feeling the weight supported by the chair, through the upper legs, the bend of the knees, the lower legs, and the feet, noticing areas of contact with the chair, with the floor, with the earth. Just feeling the totality of the body as it is right now. No need to change anything. Just aware of the body, breathing. And finding whatever anchor will best support a sense of collectedness, a sense of caring attention for the remainder of the practice. So it may be staying with the body, sitting and breathing. It may be in a more focused way on the breath, coming in and going out. Wherever you notice that, could be at the nose, in the chest, the rising and falling of the chest or the belly. And if the breath is not an easy anchor for you this morning, knowing that you can go back to awareness of sound, or to simply feeling the hands or the feet in contact with whatever surface they're touching. Resting and receiving whatever's here and seeing if you can make space for whatever arises, knowing it belongs. And each time the attention drifts, knowing that you can go back to your anchor to bring a sense of gentle collectedness to this practice. Perhaps noticing if there's a felt sense of joy in the body to be aware of, even right in this moment. And in the remaining moments of practice, seeing if you can really invite in a sense of lightness and ease. If there's any tightening around an anchor of the breath, if you're trying to control the breath in any way, knowing that you can shift the attention and you can always come back to breath if that's right. Just being very light in resting and receiving whatever's here. And as we bring the practice to a close, may we all be safe and well. May we be peaceful. May we live with ease, with joy, and with kindness. And may the merit of our practice be of benefit to all. Before you bring your eyes back to the screen, maybe just take some time to open slowly and gaze around and see if there's something in the environment right now that really evokes that quality of joy for you. It might be a sip of your coffee. It might be something you see, something you smell. Just knowing that's always here, that we can build that muscle too. Thank you for your practice.
Thank you, Jackie. And I'd love to hear from folks in the chat box if they're willing to share what they might have noticed as they were opening their eyes, what might be one of those joy-inducing things in their own environment. And of course, if you have any questions for Jackie, we'd love to hear those as well. Jackie, if I could just ask you a quick one here. I was thinking about this idea of receiving or getting joy from other people, and I was thinking about my son. When I see him, joyfully playing in the bathtub, it's very easy for me to sort of borrow that joy from him. But then there's other times when he might like fling his food bowl across the room, and I can tell it's bringing him joy. He's enjoying doing it, but it's not bringing me any joy. How do I draw joy out of that situation?
Yeah. Well, certainly it's not surprising, John, that you wouldn't be particularly joyful in anticipating what's coming for you and the cleanup and so forth. And yet there's really something in there that you can notice. I wonder how it is for you to notice that actually is a moment of joy for him.
That's true. I guess I'm already in the first step. If I can see that there is joy has been produced, it's out there in the world now, where maybe there wasn't before. And
and that certainly doesn't in any way imply that an appropriate response isn't warranted. And yet, how does that momentary pause? Because I was thinking about this as I was thinking of these simple joys, and I'm looking at things that people have posted. And for me, something that I notice is that opportunity to pause momentarily, right? We're not trying to hold on to any of these experiences. I know my orchids aren't going to be in full bloom forever. The kids aren't out playing we know that these experiences are impermanent, like everything. And yet there's something about pausing to notice the moment. We've been noticing a lot of sunrises and sunsets that have been exquisite, and they change moment to moment. And yet that pause to just take it in.
Yeah, I can see somebody in the chat box. Jackie said they are enjoying, or they noticed the large tree in their backyard and they enjoy watching it change with the seasons, which I feel is like what you're saying is not necessarily like I like how the tree looks right now, but I like the fact that it does change and getting some energy from
Yes, somebody
change
just
itself.
said enjoying the fleeting joyous
Mhm.
moments. Yeah, thank you, Loretta. Yeah, knowing that they are fleeting brings such I'm putting my hand on my heart now, such a tenderness to the way in which we can take in and appreciate those experiences. Somebody said, I'm in my office and have photos of sunsets from Hawaii. Yeah, so that's a way of borrowing our own moments too, right? That assumes that you were in Hawaii, Lozelle. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a lovely photo. So yes, good. Yeah, the view from my window, a male cardinal, those simple things, and how do they change our experience?
Well, I guess the other side of that, though, Jackie, is there's the certainty of change can also bring a feeling of uncertainty about how we will react in response to that change, and that can bring some anxiety, which I feel like can is the other thing that has to be navigated. And I'm not sure if there's a way in which we can bring mindfulness to that the anxiety effect.
Yeah. We're really wired to protect ourselves. The whole that part of our brain that's ready for flight, fight, freeze. We're wired for that, and so it's certainly there's the both and quality of the very natural way in which we want certainty, we want to feel safe. We'd all like to know when this pandemic is going to come to an end, if there is such a thing. And so it's really making the very intentional choice. It's not about denying any of that, but paying attention to the way in which we can also really develop our brains to appreciate these other qualities as well.
Yes, somebody can send the chat box that or posing is it that joy and frustration can exist together, and yeah, indeed, maybe like in a metal alloy, they by existing together, they make us stronger.
Yeah.
Well, that seemed like it might be a wonderful note to close on. It's
I
always nice to
love
have
that. Thank you,
have a good
Tammy.
curtain closer. Jackie, thank you so much. Let me just and thanks everyone joining. I was looking forward to next week on Tuesday, February 22nd. Suzanne Rowe Palacino will return, and she'll be joined by Shanti Douglas. Until then, Jackie, is there any final thoughts you'd like to leave folks for the weekend, for the long weekend that's coming up?
Well, I'm going to steal what Tawny, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, just posted. Just like when we're sad, it makes being happy much more wonderful and appreciated. That's beautiful.
So maybe we'll end with that thought. Thank you everyone for sharing your joy. I think it has only increased the joy. It's more. I think there's more of it for us all.
Certainly for me.
Good.
Thank
you, everyone. Good to see you all. Good to see you, Jackie. Hope everyone has a very momentous day.